I don't care. Staff only. Let me see the badge. Let me see it.
I am staff. I'm the chief of neuro. Look, let me just put these files down. They're heavy.
I stood in the hospital parking garage, arms full of medical files, when the security guard blocked my path. I didn't know it then, but the next 40 minutes would cost the hospital system $2.3 million and end 3 careers. My name is Dr. Simone Harding, and I'm the Chief of Neurosurgery at Memorial Grace Hospital. I've performed over 4,000 brain surgeries. I've trained residents who now practice across the country. I've published 93 peer-reviewed papers. I've testified before congressional committees on healthcare policy. None of that mattered to the man standing in front of me, demanding I prove I had the right to be there. It was a Thursday evening in October. I just finished a 12-hour shift that included 2 emergency craniotomies and a complex tumor resection. I was exhausted. My scrubs were wrinkled. My surgical cap was still tucked into my pocket. My feet hurt. I was carrying a stack of patient charts that needed reviewing before my morning rounds. Memorial Grace Hospital has a 7-level parking structure for staff. Level 4 is reserved for attending physicians. I've parked there every workday for the past 9 years. I have a designated spot. My name is literally painted on the concrete, Dr. Harding, Neurosurgery. I was walking from the elevator toward my spot when I saw him. A security guard I didn't recognize, standing near my car. White male, late 40s, heavy build, with a posture that suggested he'd been waiting for something. My silver Audi A6 was parked exactly where it should be. Nothing was wrong with it. No flat tire. No damage. Nothing that would require security attention. As I approached, the guard turned toward me. His hand moved to the radio clipped to his belt. "This your vehicle?" His tone was aggressive from the first word. "Yes, it is." I shifted the files in my arms. They were getting heavy. "I need to see your employee badge." I was confused. "My badge is in my bag. Can I ask what this is about?" "We've had reports of unauthorized personnel in the staff parking area." "I'm authorized. I'm Dr. Harding, Chief of Neurosurgery. I park here every single day." His eyes moved over me in a way that made my skin crawl. Taking in my dark skin. My natural hair pulled back in a simple bun. My wrinkled scrubs with small bloodstains on the sleeve from earlier surgeries. "I need to see identification." "Of course. Let me just set these down." I moved toward my car to place the files on the hood. "Step away from the vehicle." I stopped. "Excuse me?" "Step away from the vehicle until I verify your authorization." Something cold settled in my stomach. This is my car. It's parked in my assigned spot. My name is literally painted on the ground right there. Anyone could park in a spot. I need to see identification. I took a breath. Stayed calm. "I'll show you my badge. But I need to put these files down first. They're patient records. I can't just set them on the ground. You can set them down after I verify who you are. These are confidential medical files. HIPAA regulations require." "Ma'am, I don't care about HIPAA. I care about security. Show me identification now, or I'm calling this in as a suspicious person." My exhaustion was being replaced by anger. Controlled anger. The kind that comes from a lifetime of experiences just like this one. The kind that Black professionals know intimately. The assumption that we don't belong. That we must be staff, not doctors. That our presence in spaces of authority is inherently suspicious. "I'm going to reach into my bag now," I said slowly. To retrieve my hospital identification badge. I shifted the files to one arm, reached into my bag with my free hand, and pulled out my badge. The official Memorial Grace Hospital identification. My photograph. My name. My title, Chief of Neurosurgery. My credentials, MD, PhD, FACS. I held it up for him to see. The guard took the badge from my hand and examined it. He turned it over. Held it up to the light. Studied the holographic security features. This could be fake, he said. It's not fake. It's issued by hospital security. You can verify it through your own department. I've never seen you before. I don't know you either. When did you start working here? That's none of your business. Actually, it is. I'm department chief. I need to know who's working in my hospital. His face reddened. Your hospital? This is Memorial Grace Hospital. It doesn't belong to you. I didn't say it belonged to me. I said I work here. I'm asking you to verify my credentials through your own security office so I can go home. Instead of calling anyone, he pressed the button on his radio. Control, this is Patterson. I have a suspicious individual in the level 4 physician parking area. Black female, claiming to be a doctor, but refusing to cooperate. Need backup. My heart started pounding. Refusing to cooperate? I've shown you my identification. I've explained who I am. What exactly am I refusing? You're being confrontational and aggressive. I'm standing here holding patient files and answering your questions. That's not confrontational. The radio crackled. Patterson, backup en route. What's the situation? Patterson pressed the button again. Subject claims to be Dr. Harding, Chief of Neurosurgery, but I have reason to believe the ID is fraudulent. She's attempting to access a vehicle in the physician area. My ID isn't fraudulent. Call the surgical department. Call hospital administration. Call anyone who works here. They'll verify who I am. Ma'am, you need to stay right where you are. 2 more security guards emerged from the elevator. Both white males, one younger and thinner, one older with gray hair. Their name tags read Wilson and Chen. Wilson approached first. What's going on, Patterson? This woman is claiming to be a doctor, but I don't believe her credentials are authentic. Chen looked at me. His expression was different from Patterson's. Less certain. More cautious. Ma'am, can you explain the situation? I'm Dr. Simone Harding. I'm the Chief of Neurosurgery here. I just finished a 12-hour shift. I'm trying to go home. I've shown him my hospital ID. He claims it's fake. I've asked him to verify it through hospital security. Instead, he called backup. Chen reached out his hand. May I see your ID? I handed it to him. He examined it carefully. He looked at the holographic seal. The magnetic strip. The printed security features. This looks legitimate to me, Chen said to Patterson. Anyone can get a fake ID made, Patterson insisted. Not with these security features, Chen said. He looked at me again. Do you have any other identification? Driver's license? Medical license? Yes. In my wallet. I shifted the files again. My arms were starting to shake from holding them. Can I please put these down? They're patient charts. They contain sensitive medical information. Go ahead, Chen said. I walked to my car and carefully placed the files on the hood. Then I reached into my bag and pulled out my wallet. Inside was my Michigan driver's license, my medical license card, my DEA certificate, my hospital access cards, and 3 credit cards with my name embossed on them. I handed Chen my driver's license and medical license. He examined both. The address on my driver's license matched the vehicle registration visible through my windshield. The medical license showed my full credentials and certification. Dr. Harding, Chen said slowly. I apologize for this confusion. Your identification is clearly legitimate. Thank you. May I leave now? Patterson stepped forward. We're not done here. Chen turned to him. Patterson, her ID is valid. She's clearly who she says she is. I want to search the vehicle. Make sure those files are legitimate. My exhaustion vanished completely, replaced by cold clarity. You want to search my vehicle for what purpose? To verify those are actual patient files and not stolen hospital property. Stolen hospital property? I'm the Chief of Neurosurgery. These are my patients. These are their charts. I'm taking them home to review before morning rounds, which is something I do several times a week. I need to verify that. You need probable cause to search my vehicle. This is still private property, even though it's a hospital parking garage. You need reasonable suspicion that I'm engaged in criminal activity. Carrying patient charts home to review is not criminal activity. It's standard medical practice. Wilson, the younger guard, spoke up for the first time. Doc, maybe if you just let us look, we can clear this up quickly. No. I'm not consenting to a search. I've provided identification. I've explained my presence here. I've demonstrated that this is my vehicle and my assigned parking spot. This detention has gone on long enough. Patterson's hand moved to his radio again. Control, situation is escalating. Subject is refusing to comply with security protocols. Requesting police assistance. My stomach dropped. Police assistance? For what? You're being uncooperative and potentially in possession of stolen hospital property. I'm not uncooperative. I'm asserting my rights. And I'm not in possession of stolen property. I'm in possession of my patient's medical files. Chen put his hand on Patterson's arm. Patterson, this is excessive. She's clearly a doctor. Her credentials are valid. Patterson shook him off. She's claiming to be a department chief, but she's acting suspicious. Real doctors don't act like this. How exactly do real doctors act? I asked quietly. They cooperate with security. I am cooperating. What I'm not doing is allowing you to violate my rights because you've made assumptions about who I am based on how I look. Patterson's face went bright red. This has nothing to do with how you look. Doesn't it? I'm standing in my assigned parking spot. My name is painted on the ground. I've shown you valid hospital identification, my medical license, my driver's license, and vehicle registration. I've explained who I am and what I'm doing. And you've called it suspicious, fraudulent, and criminal. Would you have done this to a white male doctor? Ma'am, I don't appreciate the accusation. And I don't appreciate being detained in my own hospital parking garage after a 12-hour shift saving people's lives. Wilson's radio crackled. Security, be advised police unit is en route to your location. ETA 3 minutes. My hands were shaking now. Not from fear. From rage. Controlled, professional rage. I want your supervisor here, I said. Right now. And I want the director of hospital security. And I want them here before any police arrive. You're not in a position to make demands, Patterson said. Actually, I am. I'm a department chief at this hospital. I have privileges and authority. And I'm telling you that if you don't call your supervisor immediately, your career here is over. Chen pulled out his phone. I'm calling Director Michaels. Chen, don't, Patterson started. Patterson, this has gone too far. Dr. Harding is right. We need supervision here. Chen stepped away and made the call. I could hear his side of the conversation. Explaining the situation. Describing the confrontation. Confirming my identity. When he hung up, he looked uncomfortable. Director Michaels is on his way. He said not to take any further action until he arrives. Too late, Patterson said. Police are already coming. We stood there in tense silence. Me next to my car. The 3 security guards forming a loose semicircle around me. My patient files on the hood of my Audi. The fluorescent lights of the parking garage casting harsh shadows. 2 minutes later, a police cruiser pulled onto level 4. 2 officers emerged. The first was a black female officer in her 30s. Her nameplate read Johnson. The second was a white male officer, older, with sergeant stripes. His nameplate read Kowalski. Sergeant Kowalski approached. Who called for police assistance? Patterson stepped forward. I did. We have a suspicious person in the physician parking area who's refusing to cooperate with security protocols. Johnson looked at me. Then at the security guards. Then at my car with my name painted on the ground beneath it. Ma'am, can you explain what's happening? Johnson asked me. I'm Dr. Simone Harding. I'm the Chief of Neurosurgery at this hospital. I just finished my shift. I was walking to my car when this security guard detained me and demanded identification. I provided my hospital ID, my medical license, and my driver's license. He claimed they might be fake. I asked him to verify through hospital security. Instead, he called backup and then called you. Johnson looked at Patterson. You thought her credentials were fake? They could have been. I've never seen her before. Have you been working here long? Johnson asked. 3 weeks. Johnson turned to Chen. How long have you worked here? 8 years. Do you know Dr. Harding? Chen nodded. I've seen her around. I know she's neurosurgery. I've never had a reason to check her ID before. Kowalski walked over to my car and looked at the painted spot. Dr. Harding, neurosurgery. He looked at my license plate. He looked at me. Dr. Harding, do you have identification on you? Yes. I've already shown it to everyone here. May I see it? I handed him my medical license and driver's license. He examined them both carefully. These look legitimate. Do you have anything else that confirms your position at the hospital? In my bag, I have my hospital access cards, my DEA certificate, my board certification documents, and about 40 other forms of identification. How many would you like to see? That won't be necessary. Kowalski turned to Patterson. What specific suspicious behavior did you observe? She was walking toward a vehicle in the physician area. That's it? That's the suspicious behavior? She didn't look like she belonged here. The words hung in the air. Johnson and Kowalski exchanged a glance. What does belonging here look like? Johnson asked quietly. Patterson didn't answer. A white BMW pulled up quickly and parked at an angle. A man in his 50s with silver hair and a security uniform with director insignia emerged. He was moving fast, clearly agitated. What the hell is going on here? Director Robert Michaels demanded. Chen stepped forward. Director Michaels, Patterson detained Dr. Harding and called police because he thought her credentials were fake. Michaels looked at me. Recognition and horror crossed his face simultaneously. Dr. Harding. Jesus Christ. He turned to Patterson. You detained Dr. Harding? I was following protocol for suspicious persons in restricted areas. Suspicious? She parks here every single day. She's Chief of Neurosurgery. Her name is on that parking spot. What the hell were you thinking? I've never seen her before. How was I supposed to know? You verify credentials through the security office. You don't detain department chiefs in the parking garage and call the police. A second vehicle arrived. A black Mercedes. The man who emerged was in an expensive suit despite the late hour. Dr. Nathan Reeves, hospital administrator and CEO. His expression was thunderous. Someone want to tell me why I have police cruisers in my physician parking garage? His voice carried across the concrete. Michaels turned to him. Nathan, there's been a serious situation. Dr. Reeves saw me. We'd known each other for 9 years. We served on hospital committees together. We'd worked on policy reforms, budget allocations, and strategic planning. Simone? He looked at the police, the security guards, my files on the hood of my car. What happened? Your security guard detained me for walking to my car. He claimed my hospital ID was fake. He called backup. Then he called the police. Dr. Reeves went very still. He did what? Patterson tried to explain. Sir, I was following procedure 4. Procedure? Dr. Reeves's voice was cold. The procedure is to verify credentials through the security office. The procedure is to use common sense. The procedure is not to detain my chief of neurosurgery in a parking garage and call the police. I didn't know who she was. So your assumption was criminal activity? That's your default? Patterson didn't answer. Dr. Reeves turned to Sergeant Kowalski. Officers, I apologize that you were brought here for this. Dr. Harding is exactly who she says she is. She's one of the most respected physicians in this hospital. This was a mistake by our security staff. Kowalski nodded. Understood. Dr. Harding, you're free to go. I apologize for the inconvenience. Johnson added, for what it's worth, I'm sorry this happened to you. The officers returned to their cruiser and left. Dr. Reeves looked at me. Simone, I am profoundly sorry. This should never have happened. No, it shouldn't have. But it did. And we both know why. I want to meet with you tomorrow to discuss this fully. I want more than a meeting, Nathan. I want a full investigation. I want to know if other staff have been subjected to this. I want to know what training your security personnel receive. And I want accountability. You'll have all of that. I promise you. Michaels turned to Patterson. You're suspended pending investigation. Turn in your radio and badge. Go home. Patterson's face went white. Suspended? I was doing my job. Your job is not to racially profile hospital employees. Badge. Radio. Now. Patterson handed them over and left without another word. I picked up my patient files from the hood of my car. My hands were still shaking. Simone, Dr. Reeves said quietly. Are you okay to drive? I'm fine. Would you like someone to escort you home? I don't need an escort. I need this to never happen again. To anyone. I got in my car and drove home. The drive was automatic. I didn't really register the streets or the traffic. My mind was replaying the entire encounter. Every word. Every assumption. Every moment of being treated like a criminal in my own workplace. When I got home, my husband Marcus took one look at my face and knew something was wrong. I told him everything. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. What do you want to do? He asked. I want to make sure it never happens to anyone else. The next morning, I met with Dr. Reeves and the hospital's legal counsel. They offered immediate apologies. They offered compensation. They offered reassurances. I told them that wasn't enough. I want a complete audit of your security department's practices. I want data on who gets stopped, who gets questioned, and who gets detained. I want it broken down by race. I want to see if there's a pattern. The legal counsel shifted uncomfortably. Dr. Harding, we don't currently collect that data. Then start collecting it. Today. Over the next 3 weeks, the hospital conducted the audit I requested. They reviewed 2 years of security incident reports. They interviewed current and former employees. They analyzed complaints and concerns that had been filed and ignored. The results were exactly what I expected and somehow still shocking. Security had detained or questioned black employees at a rate 4.2 times higher than white employees. Black staff reported being asked for identification in areas where they worked daily at rates significantly higher than their white colleagues. Multiple black physicians and nurses reported incidents similar to mine. The pattern had been there for years. But nobody with authority had looked at the data. Nobody had connected the dots. Nobody had demanded accountability. Until now. I filed a federal lawsuit against Memorial Grace Hospital System. Not for the money. For the change. The complaint alleged racial discrimination, violation of civil rights, hostile work environment, and institutional failure to address known patterns of bias. The hospital initially tried to settle quietly. They offered a substantial financial package in exchange for confidentiality. I refused. This isn't about money, I told their attorneys. This is about transparency. This is about making sure every employee at that hospital knows what happened and knows that it won't be tolerated. The case moved forward. During discovery, the data became public record. Local news outlets covered the story. Medical professional organizations issued statements. Social media amplified the conversation. The pressure mounted. Memorial Grace Hospital System eventually settled for $2.3 million. But more importantly, they agreed to systemic reforms written into a consent decree and monitored by an independent party for 3 years. All security personnel would receive mandatory anti-bias training every 6 months. The hospital would collect and analyze demographic data on all security interactions. A civilian review board with employee representation would oversee security operations. Security guards would wear body cameras during all interactions. An independent investigator would audit complaints. Clear protocols would be established for verifying employee credentials without racial profiling. Patterson was terminated. The investigation found multiple previous incidents where he'd treated black employees and visitors with suspicion while allowing white individuals to pass without question. Wilson and Chin received written reprimands and mandatory retraining. Director Michaels resigned under pressure. The audit revealed he'd received multiple complaints about racial profiling by security staff but had taken no meaningful action. The hospital hired a new director of security, an experienced professional from outside the organization with a background in civil rights and equitable enforcement. I donated the settlement money to scholarship funds for black medical students and organizations fighting healthcare discrimination. The story became national news. Medical journals published analyses. Hospital systems across the country reviewed their own security protocols. Professional organizations updated their anti-discrimination guidelines. One confrontation in a parking garage led to systemic change that affected policies at hospitals nationwide. I stayed at Memorial Grace. I continued my work as Chief of Neurosurgery. But colleagues say the experience changed me. Made me more vocal about racial bias in medicine. More willing to challenge institutional practices that had been accepted as normal. In presentations at medical conferences, I talk openly about what happened. I show the data from the audit. I explain how bias manifests in healthcare settings. How it affects not just staff but patients. How institutions must actively work to identify and eliminate discriminatory practices. The parking garage footage from security cameras was used in training programs. Not to shame anyone, but to illustrate how bias operates. How assumptions get made. How authority gets misused. How institutional systems can fail to protect their own employees. What happened to me wasn't unique. It was documented. It was addressed. It led to change. But it only happened because I had the position, the knowledge, and the resources to fight back. Most people don't have those advantages. Most people subjected to this kind of treatment can't force institutional accountability. Most incidents disappear into complaint files that nobody reads. That's why the data matters. That's why transparency matters. That's why independent oversight matters. That's why we can't rely on good intentions. We need structural changes that make discrimination visible and costly. The painted parking spot still has my name on it. Dr. Harding, Neurosurgery. But now it means something more. It's a reminder. Of what happened. Of what changed. Of what's still required. Should hospitals be required to track demographic data on security interactions? Thanks for watching. Do remember to hit the subscribe button, like and share this story, and I'll see you in the next one.